Hey everybody, it is John Brown, the Bandana Gamer, coming to you with June 2019's most recent pickups. I'm not sure of the exact time frame on these pickups. I know it's more than a month, probably more than 2 months, but I've gotten some really interesting things in the collection, and I just kind of wanted to share them and walk you through some of the things I'm really excited about now to have in my video game collection. So we're going to start off with the more mundane, and that is Anthem for the Xbox One Legion of Dawn edition. I picked this one up because, as many of y'all know, it's gotten fairly cheap. I had a bunch of Amazon credit, and there's just a respect for what BioWare was that I wanted to have this in the collection. So I haven't checked it out yet. Hoping to do that in the next few weeks. I know the future and the outlook of this game is not good since it wasn't even mentioned at E3. EA may be getting ready to just kind of pretend it didn't happen. Now, one of my favorite places to get modern games from is GameFly. GameFly is a rental service kind of akin to what Netflix used to be with DVDs, and I think they still do. But you pay a subscription service and they send you games in the mail to try out. I don't subscribe to that service, but they do have really good pre-owned sales. And generally, after a big game has released, when they are seeing a drop in rentals, they put a lot of copies out for sale for really cheap. And so one of the things I just picked up is a game I'm really excited about. If you watch this channel, you know I love Marvel. And so I picked up SpiderMan for the PlayStation 4. Really excited to get into this game. I've heard nothing but good things. Loved everything I've seen in terms of previews for it. More excited to play this than Square Enix's Avengers game that's coming out. So can't wait to try this one out, and super glad it's in the collection. There might be a playing the end game that comes out of that. Now this next one is also for the PlayStation 4. A good friend of mine who sells insurance has gotten into this game, and he told me to pick it up whenever I got a chance. I don't know a lot about it other than it's just kind of a progression underwater submarine style adventure Subnautica. It's published by Gearbox, and I'm excited to get into it and check it out. I don't know a lot more about it other than my friend who sells insurance raves about it. So it looks like it will be a very cool title to check out and play. Graphics look really cool. I know it's been in early access on Steam for a bit, and now there is a sequel, Subnautica Below Zero, which is kind of Arctic themed, that is already in early access. So ready to check that out. So I fell out of video games in the later half of the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 lifespan, maybe even a little bit before that, right as those systems kind of came into their own. I touched video games tangentially. Occasionally I picked up something like Halo 4 and things like that. Halo Reach was awesome. But one of the series I kind of missed and am now kind of curious about just re-released its first game as a remaster, and that is Dark Souls. I've never played a Dark Souls game, and this was on sale pretty cheap, and I had, once again, some Amazon credit. So I went ahead and picked up Dark Souls. It was a little disappointing I couldn't get it on the Switch because it's just a lot cheaper on Xbox One. But I'm excited to give this a shot. A lot of the podcasts I listen to, a lot of things I read really rave about how great Dark Souls is, and I have no clue about this game. So I'll be checking that out here in the near future. All right. So now we kind of get into some things I'm really excited about. As y'all know from a previous unboxing, I like limited run games. I'm actually a pretty big fan of theirs. And one of the things I'm really excited to see them doing is moving and working with bigger developers. Still keeping the foot, making sure the small developers get their shot at physical releases. But I'm loving to see the ports they're doing of older titles for the newer systems. And I picked up all 3 of the Jak and Daxter games that they released for the PlayStation 4. They're still releasing the Kombat Racer, but pre-orders have not gone up for those. But it's just really cool to see limited run games continue to develop, continue to get a bigger piece of the pie and do bigger games, but they still keep a really a big foot, making sure those little developers get physical releases. I love the Jak and Daxter series. It really enjoy Naughty Dog as a whole. Naughty Dog as a developer, to my knowledge, has not done any wrong. So I can't wait to play a little bit more of these on PlayStation 4. And I believe if they announced when they were doing the Jak and Daxter re-releases that if you got all 4 games, Jak and Daxter 1, 2, and 3, and then Jak X, I think is what the combat racing game is called, you would get a special box for Jak and Daxter 4, which is a never released game. Might not have even been an idea, but that they are sending out a commemorative box for Jak and Daxter 4 if you ordered all 4 of the limited run Jak and Daxter games. Keeping with the limited run games, one of my favorite games that I picked up in the last year was Tetris Effect. I love Tetris and loved how they incorporated the environment, the music, and just made Tetris into this major art experience. It's something that actually ended up leading to me picking up a PlayStation VR. Learning a little bit more about the developer, Enhance and Resonair. One of the games they're known for is Luminous, which is playing it is very clearly like the grandfather to Tetris Effect. It's just a really cool puzzle game. Music is amazing. How the puzzle affects the scenery going on. Really great game. The original Luminous was put out on PSP, I believe. And so this is a remastered version that's appeared in a bunch of places, all the modern consoles. But Limited Run put out a physical for, I think, PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo Switch. And being a lover of the Nintendo Switch, I picked this up just because Tetris Effect was so awesome. And I've had nothing but fun with this puzzle game. It is just a great thing to pick up when you want something quick. So awesome. Can't recommend it enough. It's on the eShop now. I believe it's about $15. Completely worth the price of admission. Another game that I picked up on the Nintendo Switch, I've been getting more and more into the Dragon Quest series. And so looking forward to Dragon Quest 11 coming out and Dragon Quest Builders 2, but I did not have a copy of Dragon Quest Builders for the Nintendo Switch, so I was able to find one at a local GameStop, put together some stuff I didn't really want anymore, and picked up a copy of Dragon Quest Builders. Love this game. It is what I want Minecraft to be because I'm an old fuddy-duddy and I like story in my video games, and I like if I'm going to do something, I kind of want a reason. Had a great time playing and learning more about this game. Love how it has a retro feel and how it connects to the older Dragon Quest games. Love this game. Would definitely recommend picking it up. So I've also picked up some retro stuff over the past few weeks, and I kind of wanted to share those. One of the first ones I got to show you is Mortal Kombat 4 on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. This is when they first started playing around with 3D graphics instead of the digitized 2D stuff. You can debate whether or not it's a good game or not. I enjoyed it and loved it as a kid. I played a lot, well, I should say teenager. I played a lot of this on my original PlayStation, so I was really glad to find it at a used bookstore of all places for a pretty inexpensive price. And it is a fun one to play around and just see how they tried to transition and translate Mortal Kombat gameplay into a 3D arena. I've also picked up some NES titles. I am a pretty big Disney fan, and I really love the games that Disney put out with Capcom in the late 80s, early 90s. And I picked up Little Mermaid for the NES, which you might be surprised to find out is just a really amazing game. It controls in a really unique fashion. Almost all the Capcom Disney games are pretty amazing experiences. I mean, they really put to shame the idea that if it's a licensed game, it's going to be garbage. These were really fun games. And I mean, of course, you have the people who at this time are working on things like Mega Man and those games, you know, just putting their all into what they're doing and putting out some just awesome games. And Little Mermaid is overlooked a lot, but it's so good. And like just the mechanics and how Ariel uses her tail to shoot bubbles and then what you can has a kind of a Mario 2 pick up the enemy feel to it. Just a great game, and I cannot recommend it enough. Now, I also got another Disney Capcom game, and it is one I'm really, really excited to have in my collection because it features my absolute favorite Disney character. And my favorite Disney character is one, Scrooge McDuck. So I picked up DuckTales. I've been reading a lot of Don Rosa's Donald Duck and Uncle Scrooge comics, which are not DuckTales. Be very clear. Don Rosa, Carl Barks' comics that feature Uncle Scrooge and Donald Duck are not to be called DuckTales. But I've just fallen in love with this character and the many interpretations. And Uncle Scrooge is just a great character. He acts so differently than any other Disney protagonist. He chooses things that just do not seem to be what a Disney character would choose, and that's why I love him. And this game is amazing. Once again, it's by Capcom. Plays and feels like a Mega Man game in a lot of ways, but has Uncle Scrooge with this really cool pogo stick mechanic. It is a great game. There is a DuckTales 2 out there that's really expensive. Have not added that to the collection. Not sure if I'm gonna because of how expensive it is. It comes much later in the NES's life. But DuckTales for the NES, I'm really great to have it because my boy Uncle Scrooge is in the game and is the main playable character. All right, this brings us to our two final things. Now, I've gotten these two, and I am beyond excited to have them in the collection. One of them I never thought I would have in the collection, and they're not in terrible shape, but they're not in like super pristine shape, and I'm okay with that. If I am okay getting PlayStation and other disc system games with just the disc, as long as I can either make a case or have something that looks okay to put on the shelf. And with Nintendo games, as long as the label is pretty full and I can read what it is and I can see the artwork on it, I'm fine with that. So I've picked up two games, one for the SNES, one for the original PlayStation, that I'm really excited to have in the collection. Really excited to have both of these. And they're role-playing greats. They're games that are famous role-playing games and are really just hallmarks of the genre. So, first one is Suikoden 2. Suikoden was a role-playing series put out by Konami on the original PlayStation. Kind of overlooked because of the graphical style. You know, when you think RPGs on the original PlayStation, you think of Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, things that had really fancy polygon graphics of their time, real groundbreaking stuff. And this has much more pixel-based and sprite-based, and looks much more like an advanced 16-bit RPG than one of the fancier 32-bits, but it's an amazing game. Can't wait to dive even more into it, and I'm just so excited to have Suikoden 2, because Suikoden 2 is a fairly rare PlayStation 1 game. As you can see, this is definitely a reproduction case that I just picked up because I found the game with just the disc, but just so stoked to have it in my collection and be able to play it. And then this brings me to my final one. We talked about Dragon Quest Builders a little while ago. And one of the things about that game series that's amazing is the artwork of Akira Toriyama. And Akira Toriyama did the work on this game, Chrono Trigger. I believe US Gamer just released a list of 25 best 25 RPGs of all time. This was the top one. Akira Toriyama and Squaresoft's Chrono Trigger. An amazing feat, possibly the best game of the generation. Just really pushes the 16-bit game consoles to their max. It's on the Super Nintendo. It's a Super Nintendo exclusive, so I shouldn't say game consoles. But it's just an amazing RPG. Really broke a lot of ground. The art's fantastic. The graphics are fantastic. The story, it really, for a game of this generation, pushes what you can do in terms of storytelling on a console game, and is just amazing. Can't wait to dig a little bit further into it. Of course, I have other versions of the game. I have it on PlayStation, I have it on the Nintendo DS, but to actually have an original copy that works, save battery works, looks fine. There's a few little blemishes on the label, but I'm fine with that. I cannot. I'm so happy to have this in the collection. I am so stoked to play this more. So that is my most recent video game pickups. Love to hear your thoughts on these games, or tell me about any games you've picked up recently. If you like what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit a like. I will catch you all in the next one. Peace, my friends.